Okay, Nasso chapter 5, this is the fourth reading. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, should any, so this commandment is first given to Moses, and then he teaches it to the entire nation. Should any man's wife go astray and deal treacherously with him, and a different man, of course, lie carnally with her, but it was hidden from her husband's eyes, she was not secluded, but she was secluded with a suspected adulterer, and there was no witnesses against her, and she was not seized. So again, it's very important that the Torah mentions that there had to be that there wasn't witnesses, because nobody warned her, and she wasn't taken against her will. So she chose to do this. But a spirit of jealousy had come upon him, and he became jealous of his wife, and she was defiled. Or a spirit of jealousy came upon him, and he was jealous of his wife, and she was not defiled. So here we have this 50-50 situation, and we're going to learn about what's going to happen. Maybe she did it, maybe she didn't. Maybe she was with this other guy, or maybe she wasn't, but then her husband's jealous. The man shall bring his wife to the Kohen. So this is very important why I had to set up the whole Kohanim system in order for this to happen. And bring her offering with her 1/10 of an ephah of a barley flour. He shall neither pour oil over it nor pour frankincense on it, for it's a meal offering of jealousness, of jealousies, a meal offering of remembrance, recalling inequity. So it's like he's doing this out of anger, so it doesn't get the normal jealousy, so it doesn't get the normal offering treatment, doesn't get the anointing oil on it, doesn't, it's not the normal thing because this is unusual circumstances, but he still brings an offering to the Lord and to the Kohanim who act as the ministers in the Mishkan, in the tent, okay, as we know. The Kohanim shall bring her forth and present her before the Lord. So she's standing there and God's presence is there. And the Lord shall take holy water in an earthen vessel, and some earth from the Mishkan floor, and the Kohen shall take it and put it into the water. So he's going to make this special, unique mix. And the Kohen shall stand the woman up before the Lord and expose the hair on her head of the woman. And he shall place into her hands the remembrance meal offering, which is a meal offering of jealousies, while the bitter curse-bearing waters are in the Kohen's hands. So this is very humiliating to this woman. So a woman is being publicly humiliated. And this is also where we learn that her hair was previously covered, which is what the rabbis learn and teach us, that the Torah is telling us that women who are married generally used to cover their hair. The woman shall place her under oath. She has to take an oath. And I was told my kids in the United States, you raise your right hand. I don't know if they raise their right hand, but basically they had to swear using God's name. And say the woman, again, this is what she had to swear. This is what she had to say. If no man has lain with you, and you have not gone astray to become defiled to another in the place of your husband, then you shall be absolved through these bitter waters which cause the curse. But as for you, if you have gone astray to another instead of your husband, and have become defiled, and another man besides your husband has lain with you, the Kohen shall now adjure the woman with the oath of the curse. And the Kohen shall say to the woman, may the Lord make you for a curse and an oath among your people, when the Lord causes your thigh to rupture and your belly to swell. For these curse-bearing waters shall enter your innards, causing the belly to swell and your thigh to rupture. And the woman shall say, Amen, Amen. Then the Kohen shall write these curses on a scroll and erase it in the bitter water. So he actually writes this down, and then it includes God's name, God's full name, and then it's erased. So we see the very seriousness of this. This absolutely, people, they have to understand what's going on here. And then he shall give the bitter curse-bearing waters to the woman to drink, and the curse-bearing water shall enter to her to become bitter. The Kohen shall take the meal offering of the jealousies from the woman's hand and wave the meal offering before the Lord, because so she's still alive yet. She's not. This doesn't kill her. Before the Lord, and bring it to the altar. The Kohen shall scoop out from the meal offering to its reminder and burn it upon the altar. Then he shall give the woman the water to drink. Okay, so now she's getting prepared to actually drink it. He shall make her drink the water, and it shall be that if she has been defiled and was unfaithful to her husband, the curse-bearing water shall enter her. They become bitter, and her belly will swell, and her thigh will rupture, and the woman will become a curse upon her among her people. But if the woman had not become defiled and she is clean, she will be exempted and bear seed. So this is clearly connected to her potentially getting pregnant from this other guy, because we don't want a child born in this situation. Because then what tribe does he belong to? Now, the Mamuez, my son reads and learns the Mamuez, which I really should learn in English, but he learns it in Hebrew. The Mamuez is this whole connection is connected to the Ten Commandments, and not only does she cheat on her husband, which is and this guy who cheated with her coveted her neighbor's wife. So that's obviously one of the Ten Commandments. You're not allowed to covet your neighbor's wife. And this guy who was with her coveted her, and she coveted him. So because remember, this has to be consensual. She chose to do this. Anyhow, the Mamuaz goes through and shows how this whole Sota incident, this whole bitter waters and everything that's connected here is actually over every single one of the Ten Commandments. Okay, this is the law of jealousy. So, okay. But if the woman has not become defiled and she is clean, she should be exempted and bear seed. So she's going to get, if she's free of sin, if she didn't do it, then she's going to give birth. This is the law of jealousies when a woman goes astray with someone other than her husband and is defiled. Or a spirit of jealousy comes over a man and he is jealous of his wife and he presents the woman before the Lord, and the Cohen shall do to her all of this law. The man shall be absolved of his iniquity, and the woman shall bear in her iniquity. So if she's guilty, then the guy is absolved of being jealous because he was correct, and she is guilty. Now, does she die here? It's not very clear. Sounds horribly painful if she's guilty. Her belly swells and her thighs collapse, which to me sounds like there's some sort of abortion medication, because I'm really convinced of this. And I might be wrong, but it sounds like this is literally getting rid of the potential baby that she could have had with this other guy, because she has a baby if it works out, if she wasn't guilty. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel, and you say to them, a man or a woman, see, a woman who sets himself apart from making a Nazarite vow to abstain for the sake of the Lord. So a woman could also be a Nazarite. Now, many commentators connect the fact that this happened immediately. These verses are one right after the other. That this situation, this guy decides, or this woman decides to become a Nazarite because they witnessed this whole Sota incident, and it so distressed them emotionally that they decided to take upon this vow of not cutting one's hair, not only not cutting one's hair, but not having any connection to grapes, and specifically, no matter what, can't be raisins, it can't be vinegar, anything. We're about to learn all the different things that go into the laws of the Nazirith, and I better, this is just a long parsha. So, speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, a man or woman who sets upon himself a Nazareth vow to obtain for the sake of the Lord, he shall obtain from new wine and aged wine. He shall not drink even vinegar made from new wine or aged wine, nor shall he drink anything in which grapes have been steeped. And he shall not eat neither fresh grapes nor dried ones, can have raisins. And for the entire duration of his absence, he shall not eat any product of the grapevine, from its seeds to its skins. All the days of his vow of his abstinence, no razor shall pass over his head until the completion of the term that he abstains for the sake of the Lord. It shall be sacred, and he shall allow the growth of his hair of his head to grow wild. All the days that he abstains the Lord, he shall not come into contact with the dead. To his father, his mother, to his brother, to his sister, he shall not defile himself if they die, for the crown of his God is upon his head. For the duration of his absence, he is holy to the Lord. If someone in his presence dies unexpectedly or suddenly and causes the Nazareth's head to become defiled, he shall shave off the hair of his head on the day of his purification. On the seventh day, he shall shave it off. On the eighth day, he shall bring 2 turtle doves, 2 young pigeons to the Cohen at the entrance of the tent of the meeting. The Cohen shall prepare one for the sin offering and one for the burnt offering, and one to atone on his behalf for sinning by coming into contact with the dead, and he shall sanctify his head on that day. He shall consecrate to the Lord the period of his abstinence, and bring a lamb in his first year as a guilt offering. The previous day shall be canceled because his Nazareth has been defiled. So the Nazareth vows and abstinence is considered kind of a sin here. because you have to bring a chetat offering, a sin offering. So you really shouldn't do this. We really shouldn't abstain from things in Judaism. There's enough rules, enough things that we're not supposed to do. There's a lot of animals we're not allowed to eat. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of thou shalt not do. And here we're taking about extra things that you're not supposed to do. It doesn't seem like it's highly recommended. Although, in case you decide to become a Nazareth, here's a whole list of what you're allowed to, of all the things you're, again, extra things you're not allowed to do. And then consequences if something happens during your Nazareth period, if you come upon a dead body, even accidentally, and it wasn't your fault, then you have to bring an additional sin offering and other offerings. So I would advise the people not to become a Nazir. But there was a famous Nazir in the 1940s, I believe, who lived in Haifa. The law of the Nazareth, the day of his period of Nazareth is completed. He should present himself at the entrance in the tent of meeting. The problem is if you take upon the vows of Nazir today, you can't get out of it because we don't have a base of Mikdash. So I don't have a system of getting out of the Naziris. So I would highly recommend to people not to do it. I believe there is a person who is a little bit younger than me, and I don't want to publicly say his name because maybe he doesn't want to be publicly stated, but there is a person who I've actually met and has taken, from as far as I understand, he said it to me directly, took upon the vows of Nazir that he has not cut his hair and has not shaved his beard, and he is a little bit well-known person in Israel, and I won't go into too much further, but I have actually met somebody who has done this, taken on these vows. So I hope he doesn't come in contact with a dead person, because then he's going to have to cut his hair, because he can't do anything else. He can't bring any of these korbanot. He shall bring the Lord one blemished lamb in his first year as a burnt offering, one unblemished, female lamb in its first year as a sin offering, and one unblemished ram as a peace offering. A basket of unleavened cakes, so some kind of matzah cakes, unleavened loaves of fine flour mixed with oil, and unleavened wafers, so matzah, shall be anointed with oil, and their mere offerings and their libations. So the Kohen shall present it before the Lord and perform the service of his sin offering. So here we see that it's called a sin offering. And now, is the sin that he was around a dead person, or is the sin that he decided to take on extra thing of this Naziris? What is the actual chet here? So that, this is, it's interesting that the Torah keeps on referring to it as a chet offering, a chetat, which is we would say is a sin offering. And he has to do a burnt offering as well. He shall make the ram a peace offering, and he has to bring a peace offering, because along with a basket of unleavened cakes, and the Kohen shall perform the service of its meal offering with its libations. The Nazareth shall shave his head of his Nazireth at the entrance of the tent of the meeting. He shall take the hair of the head of his Nazireth and place it upon the fire, which is under the peace offerings. His hair has to be burned. And the Kohen shall take the cooked foreleg of the ram, one unleavened loaf from the basket, and one unleavened wafer. So what's the difference between a loaf and a wafer? So you have matzah, and you have some kind of bread that doesn't look like matzah, but it's still unleavened. So it still is not, it still looks like matzah, or maybe it's prepared like matzah, but somehow it's fluffier because it looks like a loaf. And then you have a wafer, which we like is our traditional idea of what matzah looks like. And place it in the hands of the Nazareth after he's shaven off his Nazareth hair. The Kohen shall wave them as a waving before the Lord is consecrated to the Kohen, along with the breast of the waving and the thigh of the uplifting. All this the Nazareth may drink. After this, the Nazareth may drink wine. This is the law of the Nazareth who makes a vow, his offering to the Lord of his Nazirship, in addition to what was within his means. According to the vow that he vows, so shall he do in addition to the law as a Nazirship. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to Aaron and his sons, saying, this is how you shall bless the children, saying to them, and this is something that the Kohanim still say every Shabbat and every Yom Tov in Israel. And outside of Israel, the Sephardim do this everywhere in the world, but the Ashkenazim only do it in Eretz Yisrael. And in Sfat, there's an exception to this rule because I believe the Talmidim of the Gra don't say this, even inside of Eretz Yisrael, but I believe Sfat is the only city that does this, as far as I remember, because I actually lived there for a year. But anyways, this is what the Kohanim say. May the Lord bless you and watch over you. May the Lord cause your countenance to shine to you and favor you. May the Lord raise his countenance toward you and grant you peace. They shall bestow my name upon the children of Israel so that I will bless them. Yirechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Yair Adonai panav elecha, v'yonecha yaseh Adonai panav elecha v'yisem lecha shalom. That's what the Kohanim say on Shabbat and Yom Tov. And actually, fathers can say this to their sons on Friday night, and many fathers do say this to their sons. You know, even if they're not Kohanim, you can say it to your daughters. And that ends the fourth reading.